Hello, and welcome to this episode of From the Edge. I'm Nicole Anderson, and I'm in our Dubai studio today. From the Edge is a podcast series focusing on great minds and fresh voices from across the innovation debate. We aim to bring real conversations about frontier technologies and emerging business models that cover a range of technology interests. Today, I am absolutely thrilled to have our guest, Bruno Bertucci. Bruno is someone I've got to know a little bit, but I'm going to learn a whole lot more in this interview. Bruno has had a very colorful career. He started off as a practicing attorney in Italy, and then moved through the ranks, so to speak, in the Navy before joining Generali. We had a very long and really interesting career. One of the areas he covered in Generali was space and aviation, and I'm sure that's going to be absolutely relevant. He then went on to form his own insurance advisory and intermediary at the Dubai International Financial Center, where he's still based today, as am I. And today he is heading up the MENA region for Relm Insurance. Relm is a frontier carrier, an incredibly interesting business, which really excites me given my years in fintech, looking at very interesting business models, underwriting risks for emerging technology-centric businesses, and we're going to dive right in. So, Bruno, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you, Nicole. It's very nice to be here, and thank you for inviting me to this chat with you.
Yes.
It's very, I'm looking forward.
Yeah, excellent. Well, Bruno, I'm sure I haven't done the complete, the best in terms of expanding on your colorful background, but what we always like to do is give our guests the opportunity to expand on their personal journeys. It doesn't have to be that personal, in light of where you are today. So really, could you just tell us, bring to life, how you got to this point, being with such an interesting business, and bring to life some of the real milestones in your career?
Yes, sure. As you said, you already covered a few steps of my career that has counted quite a number of years. I don't want even to remember how many. But I started, you mentioned the Navy and the practicing attorney. When I was young, I wanted to be a lawyer. But then when I was still in the Navy, I was approached by Generali to join the aviation and space division, which was really, for a young lawyer, quite an exciting proposition, because thinking about Generali for us was a large organization. Generali was founded in the city, my hometown. Okay. So for us, it was the best place where you could go to work.
Wow. And that was Trieste.
Trieste, yeah. Earlier. Trieste is the headquarters of Generali for many years now, is in Milano. And basically, I was extremely lucky because working for such a large multinational, one of the largest insurance companies in the world, focusing in such a segment, I learned so much coming to meet big clients and be involved in quite interesting matter in aviation and space. And with the years, I became a specialist in managing the aftermath of large aviation accidents, which from one side is very sad. On the other side, is quite interesting in learning, participating to accident investigation, to dealing with all the parties involved. And it's quite high technical segment where you learn about why aviation accident happens, what are the causes, and so on. It was quite a learning curve, which gave me also a possibility to expand from a learning perspective, because on behalf of Generali, I attended in the insurance market. I attended both the European Commission and the ICAO, when they came up with the air carrier liability regulation in Europe in 97 and the Montreal Convention in 99. And I was quite active in that, becoming also chairman of the legal and study group of the International Union of Aviation Insurers, which allowed me to participate to this legislation and learning after, let's say, the events, how to improve and to regulate in the case aviation. And actually, I was quite lucky enough to be involved in many space activities. And in particular, from a legal perspective, I was involved in managing the very first arbitration space arbitration dispute between satellite operators and satellite manufacturers, which we won. Wow. And it was quite a great experience. It was in the States, and when then I moved from the aviation space in Italy to head the legal division and claims division in London. And then was involved, continued for 2-3 years to be involved in aviation space. But then I started looking at different matters. In particular, I was overlooking like 65,000 cases pending everywhere in the States. Wow. And it was quite also an interesting journey from a legal perspective. Then in UK, I was also involved in a very large reinsurance case, which we won a commercial court, Court of Appeal, and House of Lords, and it became a precedent law. Wow. And I consider myself lucky for this type of experience because thanks to being part of this large organization, I was lucky enough to be involved in many interesting and from a professional perspective, very, very, very engaging situation. From London, then I was posted to Dubai to head as a CEO of the Middle East Regional Office of Generali, and I was overlooking the whole MENA region. And there was quite a very interesting journey. And because at the end of the day, one great thing of this part of the world is that it's still people business. Whilst I think Europe, United States is now organization. Yeah. Whilst here, the personal reputation, the contacts, still matters a lot. Still now. Yes. And it's something where if you build up a good reputation, it's much easier to develop a business. So after basically the financial crisis, I decided in 2010 to do something different. I thought that my experience generally was great, but I wanted to do something different for myself, and I set up a cat-fall regulated company in the DSC. I joined the DSC the first time in 2007 with Generali. Then in 2012 I set up my own company together with another partner that was the former CEO of Intesa San Paolo in Dubai. Intesa San Paolo is the largest bank in Italy, one of the largest in Europe. And together we formed quite an interesting couple in the financial segment. Until then, in 2023, the end of January 2024, I was offered to head the Relm Insurance, the operation for Relm in the MENA region. And actually, I followed under my jurisdiction. I have MENA, Turkey, and CIS, selected CIS country. And it's amazing. I have to say, again, I think from a professional perspective, it has been such a great experience because a large multinational, private, personal experience. I've been in DSC 12, almost 10 years working as an entrepreneur and with the same license of very large organizations. And it's quite a challenging thing because if you belong to a large organization, everything is much easier. when you are two entrepreneur in the DSC is quite, and it's quite it's quite a challenging situation, but really forming. And now I think is something that is a culmination, because having worked for all my life in traditional insurance, now I'm doing something completely different, and it's a new learning journey. And I always think that one should never stop learning. It's always you never reach the point, and I hope to be able to go home for many years and still learning, and to have the possibility to experiment the new challenges and new things, and learning new aspects of the business, because it's what makes me feeling alive.
Yes.
It's what I find really like a sort of a booster for my brain, for my life, for everything. And Relm is that, from this perspective, it's really the top culmination of this career, because first I work with many young people, and I start learning how they see things, because I came from a traditional system of managing company, managing business, and then it was quite a fast integrating journey. The global CEO and founder of Relm had a great vision when he set up Relm. Is a person that if you meet, and hopefully you will meet him, and maybe having in this side next time. Is really a person that is able to train, to push you, and is a continuous challenge, which is the great thing. Because if you have someone that is continuously demanding more and more and more and more, it's also pushing you to the boundaries. But what was the vision? What is the vision of Relm is great. If you go on traditional insurance, basically insurance is based on statistics, on history. You study the history, you see what are the claims, what are the situations. Based on that, you can assess the risk, evaluate the rates, and so on. When Relm started in 2019, what we started doing it was completely new. So there was no history. And Relm is based, focused only on innovation. And basically, by default, innovation has no history.
Yes.
There is not, you don't know.
Yes.
So we have all this group of very smart people, very motivated, building together solution for entrepreneurs, for business that really requires, and then we come maybe later to the topic of insurance. But we focus on areas of business where they're still untapped. If you come to AI, if you come to fintech, fintech is almost everything. Right, but AI is something that even from a corporate governance perspective, regulation, it's all a new thing. When it comes to digital assets, when it comes to space, is evolving. From the moment I started spaces, to be involved in space insurance in the 80s, unfortunately, let's say late 80s, 90s.
That's okay.
And it was a different space, and the projects were very big. There were not many. There was a quality control which was amazing, and the insurance rates were very high, remunerative, and basically most of these were run by governments. There were big projects when it comes to communication, then television, but GPS, whatever you may think, things that were not coming out from small entrepreneurs that wanted to start some type of business that today you see every day. if you come to space economy, it's a completely different game compared to the 40 years ago, 30 years ago. You can buy satellite like this, huge. You can put them in orbit easily. In the old times, you had to find only satellite in geostationary orbit, and it was overpopulating. Now you have satellites in different orbits, smaller, and relatively not expensive compared to in the past. The projects were very, very demanding in terms of funding.
So this is like the circle of life for you, Bruno. You know, you were an early entrant into a very predictable, let's say, confined market in aviation and space, and now, as you say, it's so diverse and opening up, and it's becoming itself, the kind of new frontiers, to coin a phrase, for a new kind of asset class and group of emerging companies here in the UAE. I saw you present at the space event that we had at the DFC quite recently. So, the UAE is very well placed and very committed to that, and really wants to kind of lead certainly the region. But Relm is a category leader. I mean, as you've said there, it is a very lonely place, right, to be in that top right-hand quadrant. And I'd imagine even still, an industry like insurance, despite the insurtech, vibrancy that came to the fore.
Insurtech is slightly different thing, though.
It was periphery. It was, ancillary to the main carriers. It was really trying to enable the innovation agenda of the main carriers, right? But we would argue, I would argue, I don't know, I'm from a distant, from the edge, I'd look in and I'd still think, gosh, the insurance industry hasn't changed that much. Not from a premium holder of any of my, covers. So what you're doing at Relm is really it's so amazing. And I when I looked into the business and saw the variation of industries that you're covering, with almost no repeatability there, from what may be the case, but I'm sure there is. It must be incredibly exciting, and I love the way you, first of all, personally have put forward the DNA that Bruno is wanting to learn all the time, because I think that is the innovation mindset through and through. So first and foremost, I couldn't imagine them having someone not like you, right? But let's bring the business to life a little bit. So we've talked about space and aviation and AI. Could you bring to life some of the, maybe not mention the names, but some of the kinds of companies that represent, either emerging customers or are customers or clients of yours, and how, what are the typical challenges these businesses have when you enter the discussions with them, and how do you help solve those discussions from a risk perspective?
Sure. Now, also from this perspective, the world has changed dramatically. Aviation and space is my old experience. Again, you were dealing with a very large corporation. Now we are in the DSC. We are in the DSC as well. At the end of 2025, the DSC counted 1,647 companies registered in the DSC Innovation Hub, which mostly are AI companies, fintech company, everything in technology innovation, because in order to be licensed in the Innovation Hub, you need to have an innovation concept behind it. And you don't deal any longer with, you can have some grown-up company from a founding perspective, but most of these organizations are tiny entrepreneurs with very smart ideas, with trying to build great technologies, but they are, from a, let's say, corporate governance, risk, and other perspective, not so structured. So they have maybe an engineer, mathematics or something. They have a great idea. They start developing an AI process or something, but they don't know, and it's difficult for them when you speak about risk and risk awareness. What can be the potential outcome from a liability perspective or even from their own perspective in terms of protection? What can come out from the products? And most of the time you meet these people and you start talking about risk, they don't understand. They don't understand why they need insurance. Whereas the insurance is what allows you to develop and grow in a safer way, because otherwise it's all in your balance sheet. And also regulatory authorities start focusing on this aspect because they want to be sure that you grow up a business and beside protecting your own balance sheet, you protect third parties that can be affected. If you take an AI product now, people don't understand, but they don't realize, but AI is everywhere. It's everywhere because you cannot think about start any business today without a platform or without some technology and be successful. So you can have some basic technology, but the more you, especially when you get into the financial, digital assets, or higher technology, if you think aviation space, whatever moves around, logistics, if something goes wrong in the AI platform that is behind this big business, you can face a problem. And the fact is that whilst you can have large organizations that buy your AI platform, who is behind the AI platform has devised the platform, maybe not big and structure as the one that, we can see many of these, many of these companies, space as well. We've been with Relm, we launched a strategic partnership with the DSC in 1st of September 2025 on two segments. One is the Geospatial Accelerator. Another one that is also very important is the Emerging Risk Lab. Okay. So the Geospatial is a partnership between us, DSC, and the Mohammed bin Rashid Space Center that became quite an engaging project that attracted companies from everywhere in the world. We are now in the 5 months into the project, and we're seeing things that are really bringing us to think, okay, what is next? The next step. And
is it a program that's has a kind of churn to it, or has it are you seeing companies come through regularly in terms?
Basically, what happens is that we launched this project at the Dubai Air Show mid of November in 25. Then we opened the registration to whoever wants to apply to the Geospatial Accelerator. And we got, by the end of February, roughly 75 companies from everywhere in the world. We shortlisted to 45 because some of them were not strictly relevant to the program. And of those 45, we interviewed one by one. It took us a month with session morning and afternoon. It was ourselves, Relm, DSC, and the Mohammed bin Rashid Space Center. We were 3 judges, basically, evaluating the project, the background, the type of business. And it was covering both upstream and downstream. And the downstream were basically AI company building platform to elaborate data. If you think, for example, space, AI is a key thing. If you think about, for example, for major catastrophe, you take civil defense or other environmental. If you think Dubai, a couple of years ago, we had a big flood. This year, yes, not like 2 years ago. But I saw, for example, the images generated by the satellite in orbit from the UAE. We could see immediately from the videos, from the images, the areas that were more affected, the one less, where the civil defense could intervene faster. The biggest problem is that without AI, besides having a constellation, you have a satellite that goes around, and there's only a very short window to generate and to take this photo, and this photo can be thousands. And with a high platform that can review very quickly the information and process the ones that are more relevant from what they are not really relevant, and send the information to the ground station in order to be used. It's something that only AI can allow a fast processing. I mean, these if you come to insurance parametric and other, this type of analysis has been there for already a few years. It's not brand new, but the technology today and the AI enable this in a very accelerated manner. But this is one part, because there are many other, I mean, you can go from the most sophisticated products to very simple. We see every day offers when it comes to the type of business, from the big digital assets exchanges, from the payment companies to normal fintech companies, and to when it comes to AI, to autonomous vehicle, flying taxi, marine autonomous boats. We had also a few months ago something like robots that were, without mentioning the location, things that were basically going to be used in order to deliver anything within this financial center, not here, another one, not very far. But every day there is something new. But if you think also very large organization when it comes to logistics, without making names, but if you need to shop online, and I was amazed. It was a couple of weeks ago. I was playing after COVID. I became more an online buyer rather than.
We all did.
I don't go to shops, and I was playing on my phone, and I choose something. So that if you order now, it was like 7:30 in the morning. You can get it by 8:30. Mm-hmm. How? Mm-hmm. It was a product for the house. It was nothing that it was not a coffee or a pizza. So I said, how's it possible? But all these type of organization, logistic, that can enable companies to deliver and manage orders and deliver them, giving you almost the precise time. Behind there is a software that is amazing, because it's and today logistic you cannot think about big port like Jebel Ali or airports like Dubai without a system that enable all these, which means 1,000 probably of different AI platform underneath to enable everything. Wow. I just registered, I think I can make this name, Emirates. I was just checking from flights, and my Skywards came up immediately. Do you want to register your biometrics, so next time you go to the airport, you don't do anything. You don't even use your passport. You go just straight everywhere until you board. I think this is amazing. Probably it's not a difficult thing to do it and to enable, but we are moving. And I remember speaking to, a few years ago already, I think immediately after COVID or just before COVID, to the head of innovation for the Dubai airports. He was telling me, we are working to make sure that it will not take more than 1 hour from the moment you leave your house to the moment you board the plane. And I said, this is not possible. I said, how are you going to achieve this? I said, just consider the time the traffic in
I was
Dubai.
going to say,
unless you fly at 4 o'clock in the morning. So how is this possible? Maybe if you tell me 1 hour from the moment you check in to the moment,
exactly.
that can be more realistic. But I was also ready, because one of my passions me always corporate governance. I'm also a certified professional director in the Institute of Directors of the DSC. I remember just before COVID, meetings organized by Occam at the time, with a representative of large organization. I remember at the time there was also Emirates, banks, there was airports, there were airports, talking about innovation. Where were the plans, and how these large companies were going to implement, also from a corporate governance perspective, all these projects. And now, today, I mean, probably 20 years ago, innovation was a very slow thing. Now it's continuous. And what is great, and I love Relm, and it's really engaging, is that we don't stop. We try to be,
well, that was what
and to follow and to support,
understand.
to support all these new things. Of course, we had to assess when we analyze the risk, whether it's something that can be sure of, something that is totally uninsurable, because we need, although there is no history, but we can still look and analyze the risk, whether how it's structured. Clearly, the company, the more structure with a better corporate governance, regulated, gives a bit more guarantees. If you are set up in the DSC, is a top address, you know that the regulation, that the center try to monitor who is registered, who is not. If you go to maybe another area where you can get a visa in 5 minutes and build some sort of business, Dubai, there are, I don't know how many, hundreds probably, of this zone. And clearly, if you look at the type of, I can understand, because from a financial perspective, being in the DSC, it's an expensive exercise. So it's not, and so a startup may decide to come here or somewhere else because of the financial aspect. Having said that, the license, the Innovation Hub are quite approachable. No, they are not
they're working really
with
hard,
the working space and things that you see has allowed many tiny entrepreneurs to start their own business out of here. So the story that DSC is more expensive for regulated company, yes. As a regulated company, you have many things that you need to have in place. But having said that, for a regulated company, either you are a central bank or you are DSC or a DGM. You cannot operate outside these zones, the sole financial one. And but for people in a non-regulated business, you can be anywhere. And what is great of the UAE is that it is enabling people to come and set up their business and their life here. When I came to Dubai in 2007, it was almost impossible to think about retiring in the UAE. Because people were just getting retirement age, and they were no longer able to get a residence visa. Today, the UAE changed completely. They want to be the Florida in a way, where people go from everywhere to retire. So they are offering ways to get visa, through buying properties, to settling here. And from a healthcare perspective, when I came in 2007, in case of some surgery, something that you needed, you were thinking, okay, let me go back to Italy, to some other places. I'm not totally sure about the healthcare, which was not that developed as now. And instead, now is they boost, and you have made beside hospital and clinics, they are top level. we had doctors from everywhere.
Amazing.
And frankly speaking, I would think about there are big hospitals that with a strong. Also, I've seen recently one of the top Italian hospital opened up here in Dubai. So it's at the end of the day, it's all built to make sure that we all have what is needed.
Absolutely.
And basically, they are creating an ecosystem, an environment to attract people from everywhere in the world, not for a short time. When I came to Dubai, my contract was 3 years.
Right.
And then 2010, there was a financial crisis. And then I thought, here, up and down very quickly. I remember 2009, January to June, Shazer Road was empty. There was no one. There was no one.
No one.
And no one. Everybody, but because that became a worldwide problem, a global problem. And I remember that things went up and down, but then restarted recovering.
Yeah.
Whilst in Europe, went down very slowly, and I think it's still not recovered.
No, exactly.
And then I thought, if I move back, I can only wait at the moment in which I can retire, finish, and professionally, things will be no longer engaging. Here instead, I saw immediately the reaction, how the things were handled, and again, so went through many crises, but everywhere it's no different. But the way things are handled and the push they put, for example, in technology. The UAE government is pushing AI, fintech, DSC just announced they are the first AI native center in the world.
Yes.
They all focus on, the UAE said that everything, laws and everything will be made by AI, and which hopefully will not take too many jobs.
Well, I was going to say, that's a whole different division that you're going to have to
we are going to change our way of working. But I have to say, trying to implement myself in our area, a bit of AI, you see how AI can really make things better.
I'd love to, just on that point, just like talk to us about the business that is Relm. I mean, I'm intrigued because you said you work with a lot of young people or young-minded people. I would put you in that camp. So what are the people in Relm like? Like, what are the different DNA that you have to have as a business because of what you are doing that it has no precedent?
I can tell you, for example, if you take digital assets, crypto. I'm learning now. I didn't know anything before because I grew up with fiat currency, with the US dollar, euro, and so on. So my brain was structured for that. And now I don't ever go to a bank. I do everything on my phone.
Of course,
The real risk is losing the phone. Although with you can reset up a phone very quickly, but it's all there in your life. You can manage everything with a mobile phone. In the past, for anything, you need to go to the bank to do. Frankly speaking, you can go from small entrepreneur with a small to very large organization that develop very, very. We cover not only the small, but the large and the middle size, which from an insurance perspective and financial perspective generate more income than the small one. But we always think that because of our DNA, we want to support the small one, that maybe tomorrow will become a unicorn. So you don't know. We look at the ideas. We know that, for example, even in the Innovation Hub, not everybody will succeed. There will be losses of people that just will give you up and so on, which is normal. But what is great is that you can try. If I think Italy, for example, or other European country, for a young person to start with an idea to develop something is very challenging.
Yeah.
You need to set up the tax, you need to do this, you need to do
Lack of
a lot of
capital.
bureaucracy.
Yeah.
To take licenses takes forever. So maybe it's not very clear and structured. Here it's fantastic. Everything, every segment, you find online how to apply and how to register. Maybe the advantage of the UAE compared to many other countries in the region is that as a mentality, first they train their own people in the best university. But then they always looked as a benchmark. What is the best? I want to do better than the best.
Better than the best.
So they always looked as a vision to bring to the UAE what is the best everywhere in the world.
Yeah.
And I think they achieved in a way, because if you think the growth of even of Dubai itself, but how many expats, we are more than 200 nationalities.
Yeah.
People come here no longer for staying 1, 2 years, 3 years. There are people like me, 19 years in Dubai. I feel Dubai is my home.
Yeah.
So it's Italy is my place, I have my home, my family and everything. But when I land in Dubai, I feel I'm coming back home.
Yeah.
I don't feel like I'm somewhere else. I'm temporary. And this type of mentality, I can see that in many people that spent years in Dubai. And it's what makes this country, in a way, unique. Because if you think the locals are roughly 10% of the population, the rest we are international.
Yeah.
So you land in Dubai or in the UAE, you can speak first English, so it's in a way an easy landing. But you can still run your life without finding big issues because it's very international.
Yeah.
You can find more or less whatever you want from any aspect of your personal life and business life. You can find everything. And business life, the structure, they built it in a way to continue attracting people, becoming in the space. At the end of the day, the space project we are developing with the DSC and the Mohammed bin Rashid Space Center is to create a space ecosystem in the UAE to attract companies to come here and set up. The DSC is basically working the Innovation Hub to create inside the Innovation Hub a space ecosystem. For us, it's great because from a business perspective, we do exactly what the Innovation Hub does. They concentrate innovation, we concentrate innovation.
Yeah.
Their entities, their members, our clients, the one that we support. When it comes to the young minds, I mean, there are people with experience as well. I'm probably the most. Well, I could, I don't know. Some of them were not even conceived when I was already in insurance.
Age is just a
He says,
number.
well, I started when I was 5 years old. I was very, very, very fast. But it's challenging. I remember the very first leadership meeting I attended in the States. And I was sitting with a group of 15 people, all very young. Even the founder is much younger than is a young person. And I was looking how they were. I was trying to understand their perspective, how they were looking at things. I was coming from an experience of very structured multinational. We were like, I remember generally 85,000 people everywhere in the world with 200 different companies. So the structure was a totally different system. Here we are a much smaller, group of people. But it's amazing because it's like lifting a car. You need a jack.
Yeah.
You don't need 50 people.
Yeah.
With AI, you can do with a finger. You can do things. Yeah. So at the end, to have a smart brains, young brains with a vision, it's much easier. Yeah. If you need my side, I have to say, I get into this Relm business quickly because I like it. I like the way to deal. Relm is dealing with things. I like the innovation. I like. I've always been quite curious on things. I always like having computers and stuff. Try to learn new software, use the new things. But I can see every day, also with my team in Dubai, which is very young, with some colleagues there, they know everything about crypto or AI or the products we cover. It's very interesting. My experience when it comes to insurance, legal, that of course at the end of the day, whatever we insure as a policy, and the insurance policy are not very different from a traditional insurance policy. What is different is what we cover. If you take, for example, cryptocurrency usually are digital assets. If you take a normal PI or crime or cyber of a bank, exclude what we do. We cover exactly what they exclude the digital assets, unless you are a digital assets, a Web3 company, blockchain, or you are a digital bank, as they are also operating in the UAE. So you are fundamentally online, and you deal only with you deal also with digital assets. So you need a full cover for all the products that you sell or you trade. Traditional banks, no. And basically the insurance experience, legal experience, of course, allows me to understand exactly all the insurance requirements and now what we should do or not do, even to improve our presence here. But clearly, learning on a daily basis all the details of what we are covering. And every day comes in different things. It's amazing. And when it comes to autonomous vehicles, cars and things, today I remember there are already company, of course, commercializing cars with self-driving cars. I think also Uber now they came up with a try of cars with no driver.
Yeah.
And I'm still thinking about whether I want to be one of the trainers.
No,
to experience whether they function or not.
I mean, the flying taxis is something I think I'll just wait for a few people to try. Bruno, look, I can't believe it. We've gone through all of the things I wanted to cover, but I feel like we've only scratched the surface. I'm going to have to get you back in again. But given our time is coming to an end, what I'd like to get from you is, where do you see, I can see your passion for the UAE, which is fantastic, because this podcast is really a platform for people, especially at this time, the world to kind of see the UAE for what it is, and for the people on the ground to be able to kind of, relay the message that this place is not going to stop.
No.
So what do you see next for the UAE? What message do you want to leave with the audience? And then finally, where can people find you? I don't want to loudspeaker that you where they can come hunt you down. I'm sure you're very prominent, but any artifacts, any places, people can look up Relm, find you, have a conversation with your team would be great.
Now, the last question is very easy in the sense that we are here. Relm is based a quarter in Bermuda with offices in Miami, New York, London, Dubai, and considering next stops as well. We are easy to find. Now with LinkedIn is extremely easy to contact any of us. here in Dubai, we are in the GFC. We are based in Central Park Tower. We can be reached in person. We also part with the Innovation Hub, organizing events and meetings. And we like, our target is to try to know all the 1,647 companies, because we like to see what else we can develop. When it comes to the UAE, I don't see a limit. UAE, and I start learning the mentality. They are investing a lot in space, AI, technology, fintech, and they want to be number one on everything. I think I already mentioned before, one of the things that struck my attention on a post, so I think on LinkedIn, was an interview to Sheikh Al Maktoum. And they were asking about why there is such a rush in doing all these things now in a short time. And Sheikh Al Maktoum said, very easy, I want my people to enjoy now, not in 20 years' time. So these, and because I in 19 years, I never seen Dubai stop. I've seen Dubai going through different crises. They handled the COVID in a very professional way. I remember starting in February. In May, offices starting an operation, restaurants, and the airlines start flying back, reopening the flights in early August. But yes, there were some problems, but everything was managed very, very well. And frankly speaking, I see UAE moving forward. Working with the Mohammed bin Rashid Space Center, I see the projects they have in mind. They are the projects of a top country in the world. And at the end of the day, what is making top the UAE? We have 200 different nationalities. And if you compare to different countries in the region, they had a vision to open up completely to the international world without being scared to lose the power. Yeah. And they created an ecosystem where everybody comes here, folk is happy, build business, lives in a country with no criminality, where a woman can walk around at night everywhere with no problem. And they are pushing also the diversity. The FC now counts roughly 37% of the world's of the employees. Total, we have more than 50,000 people working in the FC. 37% are women. And they also, the UAE implemented from a corporate governance perspective, the rules of boards, they should have a 50-50 women and men. So they are quite, they try to push in any direction to make sure that the UAE is considered one of the top countries. They, from a financial perspective, they introduce the taxes, they introduce regulation. And if you are in the DFC, it's one of the most regulated financial center in the world. I've been in Italy, I work in UK, and frankly speaking, that regulation here from our regulatory authorities is a worldwide level. And if you have a DFC address, you already announce your credibility as a company.
Very good. You know, I think it's. I didn't expect this, let's say, slant on the conversation, but I think it's great. I.e., the tenure that you've had in the UAE. I think your perspective is incredibly important, especially now, and to the point of the leader, our leader, talking about bringing value to people now. I heard another similar kind of commentary around the fact that, well, specifically Dubai, let's say, as an emirate. You know, people have criticized it for whatever reason. And, you know, over the last 3 months, it's been interesting to see commentary in some circles escalate, you know, well, you know, it's kind of deserved or whatever. But I think the one thing that has always been a defiance point for Dubai specifically, but the UAE as a whole, is that we are always creating the future. Whilst other places are valued for their past and their history, UAE is about creating the future. We don't really care about your past. We care about what you're going to build today and tomorrow.
Totally.
Right?
Totally.
So it's a place of reinvention. And that's why we're both here, and that's why we're both super passionate about where we live and where we work. So, Bruno, I couldn't thank you more for coming in today. You're such a busy man. I think people are going to love this conversation. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Nicole. It's been really nice being invited by you and spending this time with you. Try to share a bit of experience. And just the last remark, past doesn't count.
Love that.
Because you cannot live in the past.
Yeah.
Past is good, is experience, but I'm just looking at the next 40 years.
Exactly.
Developing.
I love that. I love that. Every day is an opportunity to reinvent. So, look, that brings this episode to a close. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. And until next time, take care. Thank you.
Thank you, Nicole.